Up and running, and Billabong is loud.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Kev to preview tonight's Europa Conference League game against Legia Warsaw. And it's shaping up to be a very, very important game. So we're going to get into all of that. We're going to give our predicted lineups, talk a bit of Legia, talk a bit about how we should approach the game, and obviously give you our score predictions. You guys get in the comments, let us know your score predictions as well. And do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're edging closer to 2,800 subscribers. We really want to hit 3K before Christmas. You guys are the ones that can help us get there. So please like, subscribe, and comment down below. Kev, how you doing this morning? It is cold, cold, cold.
It is a cold one, mate. It is indeed. I've just got back from taking the dog out for a walk first thing, and I'm already thinking, like, is it going to be too cold for me to even go to the game tonight? Not for me, may I add, but for my little girl who's technically supposed to be coming with me and my daughter. But if it's going to be like -1 later on, late school night, I'm toying with maybe not going, which I can't believe I'm saying, but we'll see how it is. But I've got my trusty Villa hat, which I bought when I bought this. I think we lost 6-0 to Liverpool. It was 6-0. I think it was.
Don't wear that tonight.
It was a game where we basically got battered by Liverpool. It was cold, and I bought this hat basically. But mate, it is a cold one, which you might think might suit Legia a bit more because Poland's a bit colder than the UK. But no, it'll be interesting to see whether that'll affect the game at all. Obviously, these pitches these days they're absolutely fine, but obviously we've got a tricky game at the weekend. We know that's probably our real winnable one out of the next three. And colder conditions, potentially injuries, that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, obviously, as you say, but I guess the thing is and European football, particularly this week, in other competitions, has shown us that results can spring up out of nowhere, that you don't expect. Games can change in the blink of an eye, as Man United found out last night. Newcastle unluckily found out on Tuesday night. So, we know as well, we're facing Legia earlier on in the competition. These games aren't to be taken lightly.
Yeah, they're absolutely not. Well, we got our rude awakening, didn't we, back into European football after the first time in over 10 years with that away Legia performance, which albeit still had some real positives to it. But we found out that, you've got to be a bit more streetwise, against some of these teams that, teams like Legia, very, very historic club. They've been around the block a long time. They've played a lot of European football, got to some really high heights as well. And they know what they're doing. So if you're not on your absolute A game, particularly away from home, you're going to get found out. But then obviously, even with the home game against Zrinski Mostar, we struggled. It was like 95th minute, wasn't it? So I think we've adapted well and we've learnt well as we've gone through. And I think we've really found our feet, so to speak, in terms of European football. Clearly, with Unai at the helm, that was always probably going to be likely. But yeah, no game's easy. I mean, look, Man United seem like they play well one week, they play terrible the next. You don't know how to predict them. But and I'd like to think that we haven't got someone who's probably as prone to an error as Onana seems to be at the moment in goal, unless Robin Olsen makes an appearance. And Martinez, hopefully with his one at Forest, has done his one for the season. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting because home games, we've obviously, like you just highlighted there, with Zrinski, 94th minute goal. I think that was more to do with how they set up and us kind of, like you just said, growing into the competition and playing in Europe again. And you saw the weight lifted off the shoulders when that goal went in. But also against AZ Alkmaar at home, obviously we beat them 4-1. the 2 weeks before, but they came and they were stubborn, and it took us a couple of substitutions and a masterstroke from Douglas Luiz in terms of a pass to get us the win. So yeah, I guess again it's a difficult one to call, even because we haven't been convincing at home, albeit only two games. I'm not really going to count the Hibs game as such. But we haven't been as convincing at home, and yeah, it's shaping up, and it's an important game because either team can really set themselves up to be group winners, let alone qualifiers.
Yeah. And both teams need a point, obviously. So, it's obviously going to suit the team that finishes top more because you won't have to play that knockout playoff game against the third placed Europa League team. And the last thing we need is another game. Particularly as the games are going to start coming thick and fast. We've got a lot of games in between now and Christmas. If we've got any ambitions, whether it's to progress in the Europa Conference League, whether it's to maybe have an FA Cup run for the first time in God knows how long, and clearly, as much as they're keeping it quite muted, and of course it's still pretty early season in the grandest shape of things. It's less than half the way through the season. For us to be where we are in the league position, they've got to be thinking what ifs. And extra games are not what we need, particularly when we are, I think, the least rotated team in the Premier League. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, I think that there's been so many different stats and stuff thrown around. I've seen something this morning that there's a Twitter page called The Other 14, and basically Villa basically have been ahead in 9 games and they've dropped 0 points. So we know basically when we go ahead, we win. Basically, we win. There's no like draws there. There's nothing. It's 9 games where we've gone ahead. We've won every game. So Emery ball is at its finest. So yeah, there's loads of different stats that are going around, and you look at the points that were done. It have been achieved in 2023. It's third in the table, all that kind of stuff. So the kind of flash in the pan stuff can't be talked about anymore. And yeah, we have to be going into this game confident as well. And we've got a great opportunity. Looking at Legia though, I will just pop on their kind of their form and look at the last game as well a little bit. But I think they're sitting 4th at the moment in their group. They think they had a little bit of a bad run after they played us, but the last 5 games they've obviously not lost. Won the last 3. Won 3 in the league, drawn the last 2. Lech Poznan, I know of them. I've heard of them. Obviously, Villa on great form. So 2 teams here that are definitely playing well. So yeah, I mean, and we know what Legia did to us in the previous game, and the dangerous players that they've got, and Mucci, I think it was, who scored 2 Albanian international. They're definitely not. Again, I repeat it, not to be taken lightly because they cause us problems.
Yeah, definitely. We it was at that point in the season. Obviously, we'd not long come off the back of the Newcastle and Liverpool results, and I think we thought, right, we'll get to business in the Europa Conference League, and then it was another one of those. How can I say it? Like, just disappointing results, really. It was the manner of all of our defeats this season. It's funny, we've not really been in a ding dong game. Like, imagine we lose to Arsenal like we did last season. This season, and you feel like, oh, we could have been us. You could have gone one way or the other way. In all of our defeats, we've been soundly beaten, basically. I know Forest, we had a lot of the ball, but we didn't really do much with it. So, you really can't take them for granted, and they showed a lot more than I was expecting. But then the other side of the point is this: there's obviously been enough of the season gone so far to see where teams may be positioning. They're 6th in their league, and if Aston Villa, who've got ambitions and designs on the Champions League, can't beat a team at home under the lights. I always say under the lights in every podcast.
Everyone does, don't they, when it's a midweek game?
On a cold. But can Legia do it on a cold Thursday night in Birmingham? But yeah, under the lights, obviously the crowd will be buoyed. We know a win will get us exactly where we want to be in the position in the group to have the best possible, outcome in terms of not playing that extra game. And we're at home, and we're playing a team 6th in the Polish league. We really should be winning that. But no doubt with Unai at the wheel, we'll not be taking them for granted. And of course, if we make changes, which I'm sure you'll come on to shortly, how does that then affect? Do Legia potentially go for it, full pout, knowing this is a competition that who's to say they couldn't get to the latter stages of? Why not?
Yeah. Before we get into kind of predicted lineups and potential changes, how do you think Emery does approach this game? Obviously we saw in the Premier League on Sunday, Tottenham go all guns blazing, trying to win the game, get out of sight in the first 25, 30 minutes. And we have been known to be quite fast starting in all games at home. Obviously the AZ Alkmaar game, we should have scored a goal. It should have been given a goal in the first 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah,
So how do you think Emery approaches it? Does he, do we go with a fast start and try and kind of win the game early?
Well, I'm expecting quite a strong team because we're obviously not long on the back of the international break. Now, admittedly, some of our best players were away on that, but they're not. Like Louise, for example, didn't play all the games, and you're not playing the whole time. Watkins didn't get a lot of game time. Conza didn't get a lot of game time. So, as much as we want to rest the players and keep them as fresh as we can, they've played one game since the international breaks. What's that? Probably one game in 3 weeks. Yeah, we've got a fairly quick turnaround. Sunday, 2 o'clock, I believe, are away at Bournemouth. And then it's obviously a week later, we've got, in the week after that, then obviously we've got the Man City game and then Arsenal. So it's going to be an action-packed week. But I'm expecting probably to try and get the job done rather than making the changes at the end, which I think he's done previously. I think he'll start strong, hopefully try and have that fast start, which is making me think I might go to the game because we might be out of sight by 60 minutes.
There you go.
Yeah, and then potentially start to rest the Watkins and the Louises and the McGinns of the world. Yeah. I think a few of the players were carrying knocks though into the Spurs game, and I think you made a good point there, Rich. Like, it wasn't something I probably factored in when I had how annoyed I was on the pod afterwards, even though we just beat Spurs. After, by the way, doing another thing that Unai has done, being able to come from behind. We don't lose from winning positions, but like we did against Palace, like we obviously did against Spurs, we can win from coming from behind. But I was annoyed at the manner of the first half performance. But when you stop and think about it, if a team go hell for leather so much that they're absolutely exhausted in the last half an hour of the game, which we saw the running stats they put on the screen, etc., then maybe it's to be expected for a team that's been doing well, that's in a good sort of position in the league. Yeah, they've had a couple of disappointing results. They've got loads of injuries, backs against the wall, siege mentality, and they went for us. So maybe, just maybe, I've got to give the team a bit more slack. But also going into that, we had the talk of McGinn having a knock. We had the talk of, was Martinez potentially? Mm-hmm. There's a few rumours and murmurs of people potentially being injured. Who's to say that that's not still totally kicking around? So I'd like to think we'll start strong, but I'm not. You never know with Unai, basically.
Yeah. I liken the Sunday's game to almost like a boxing match where the one boxer goes out and goes all out to get a knockout in the first 4 or 5 rounds, and obviously they did get a goal which gets that quick knockdown, but then we got a sneaky little punch in right midway through 6th round, got a sneaky punch and shocked them, and then all of a sudden then the boxers gassed out after that because they're thinking, oh, they've been knocked off their feet. It's back even, and then the other boxer kind of comes through in the latter rounds because the other one's dead on the feet. Almost like the rope-a-dope tactic.
It was Ali versus Foreman, which is even before your time, Rich. I say that when you're about three months older than me. But yeah, that was that classic sort of situation. And anything I've seen back of that, you're thinking he's got no chance. He's going to get battered, but slowly but surely. I mean, I'll tell you what the perfect example of this for me at the weekend was. I thought Brian Hill, I think as it's pronounced, I thought he did really well. I thought he played really well the first 2/3 of the game. He looked like he'd done an Ironman when he came off. Like,
he couldn't run. It was. I mean, they played well. Like, give Spurs credit. I know the fans have gone off it, but like, it was so much. They were so willing to keep going, but they just couldn't. But yeah. Anyway, it was the old classic boxing match where you let the boxer punch themselves out. Just in terms of I will put my starting lineup in a second, but obviously we saw a little bit of Ramsey, 5-6 minutes of Jacob Ramsey. Alex Moreno hasn't come back in yet properly. He featured for like the under 23s or under 21s. Are we likely to see them at all coming through tonight?
Well, yeah, I think it's a really interesting point. Do you get thrust back into action for the first time totally for Moreno in, I guess, such an important game like this from the start? Maybe not. Maybe not. But look, if he's looking good in training, if Unai thinks he's ready, then I think he will do it. I always remember with Moreno, admittedly, he wasn't on the back of an injury when this happened, but we bought him. We were going to integrate him into the team slowly. Then Digne got injured within 10 minutes. And he's
yeah.
He's thrust into the action. So, look, if they're fit and Unai backs them, I wouldn't be surprised if both of them started. I also wouldn't be surprised if both of them came off the bench. But I think the most likely one, considering he's had some action lately, maybe JJ might get a start.
Yeah. Well, I've gone with I've actually not. I totally forgot about Ramsey when I put this team, and then when I got the picture, I was like, maybe he could play. But I've actually gone with Moreno in there at left back. That's probably I don't know. I just thought with Bournemouth coming up, Man City coming up, I just thought maybe he would give Digne a bit of a rest. I've gone Cash back into his normal position. Carlos and Longley seems to have been the partnership in Europe so far. Kamara playing because he's out suspended on Sunday. I don't think he'd do without Louise. And then obviously McGinn captain. Tielemans has been great, and then I've gone with Bailey instead of Diaby and keeping Ollie up front. Anything that you would kind of change from that?
The possibility, I think, of playing Konza rather than Cash. Possibly, I think, and I also thought maybe Louise possibly for Tielemans, and then bringing in Ramsey, put McGinn more central.
Yeah.
Just to see how Louise is, because these next 3 games are going to be absolutely crucial, aren't they? Really, I know. I find myself feeling like I'm being a bit hyperbolic when I say, must-win games, but you can lose to Man City and Arsenal and still have a really, really good season. But I think if you really want to have designs on being top 4,
statement, you got to win one out of those 2.
That's exactly it. Any team that does anything. I mean, Brighton have done it numerous times in recent years. Newcastle have done it quite a few times. It's that win to let everyone go, Jesus, these guys mean business. We've done some great wins against big teams. Right? We beat Chelsea away the last 2 years, but it's not the Chelsea of old. It's not the Chelsea that were beating us 8-0 back 10, 12 years ago, whatever. We've obviously beaten Spurs the last couple of times, but again, you could argue, if you make an argument for it, they've lost the 2 before, injuries, suspensions. Villa probably expected to win. I expected us to win, to be honest. It says a lot about the mindset of Sporting Villa at the moment. If you beat a team like Arsenal, they were the leaders for most of last season, they've just scored 5 goals in about half hour the other day, against Lens. Them and Man City are looking like, with Liverpool, like the big teams. On the back also of us, when we've had any real tests this season, Newcastle, Liverpool away, we've fallen short. Sure, we did a statement win against Brighton. I think that got everyone noticing that. We did a great win against West Ham, but this would be the icing on the cake. I think this would get everyone actually talking.
Yeah. I mean, I take your point on Louise. I just think it's just been interesting. The last 2 home games where he has thought, I'll rest him. We've had to bring him on to get us out of the what. So I just think maybe he'll just think, well, maybe I'll start him and then I'll take him off like you said before with regards to maybe resting a few out on 60-65 minutes or whatever. So it's going to be an interesting one. Like I say, Legia, decent side, very decent side. They've got similar record, well, pretty much identical record to us in this conference league, and they are we obviously owe them one from the game before to kind of wrestle back the top spot in the group. So I'm confident. I don't think we'll put this to waste. I think we'll make sure we get the win. But what's your score prediction, Kev, in terms of tonight's game and scorers?
Okay, so I'm going to say it's going to be a win for Villa, and it's going to be 2-0. Nice,
comfortable 2-0.
Comfortable, solid, professional job. The scorers are going to be, I think, Leon Bailey's going to score. can't you think about the days when you imagine I'd predicting Leon Bailey as first goal scorer. What has happened to me? Leon Bailey slowly becoming my new favourite player at Villa. And I think Diego Carlos is going to power in a header.
Nice. I think we need to get Max on doing a clip, like, and it will take time to go through Kev's journey of of loving Leon Bailey.
You know, you've got that thing of like Neanderthal man, and you see it kind of goes through the historic eras until all of a sudden it becomes like an adult male. It'd be like me going, he's terrible, he's crap, he's rubbish, we need to get rid of him, he's never going to be good enough to. Oh, Bailey's been all right the last few weeks. Hey, what? See that trick Bailey did on Friday? What a goal by Bailey!
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic. But yeah, I'm going to say 3-1 Villa. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, but I think we'll get the win. Ollie Watkins will score, Tielemans will score, and let's go for Carlos. I think he'll get another off a set piece. I think we've been pretty dangerous off set pieces, so let's say Carlos as well. Guys, you let me know your thoughts in the comments, or let us know your thoughts in the comments. Sorry, scoreline, scorers, who you would pick in the team. Do you see Ramsey coming in, Moreno coming in? Do you see many changes being made? Let us know your thoughts. Please do hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Help us on the road to 3K. We will be back later this week for match preview for Bournemouth, reaction for tonight's game as well. So do not miss out on the channel. Kev, thank you for jumping on. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.
Up and running, and Villa is loud.